Well, welcome back to the Pastor's Podcast. Pastor Scott here with Spencer and Sara Bauer.
How's it going, everybody?
Yay.
Good to have you guys. I'm really excited for this conversation. So Nora, your daughter, are we allowed to talk about her on the air?
I'm a dad, so I love talking about her.
Okay. How old's Nora now?
The problem is I can't show you a bunch of photos of her. That's where I really go off the cliff.
Audio. So how old is she now?
She'll be 5 in June. So.
Okay. Man, that's wild.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Because she was, when you guys first came here, she was a newborn, right?
Yeah, when we moved to LA, she wasn't born.
She wasn't born.
Because we got here at the end of 2019 and she was born in June of 21.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
But we were virtual.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But nobody knew us because we were just, inside of our apartment
watching
like everybody else.
Our DC knew us, but that's about it.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys joined the church during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Starting virtually. But you got connected to a discipleship community?
We did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weekend that it was like we were going to finally join them in person on a Wednesday. And it was like March 20th or whatever. And everything like shut down from COVID on the weekend before, like right before. So the first 4 months was all virtual with them. And then we finally, did a socially distanced thing in the park in like July. And
you're giving me chills, just like socially distanced thing in the park.
Sorry.
Like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's so surreal.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
But it was sweet. They were some of our only community because we were new to LA. So shout out to our original people. Eric and A.B. Smith were our leaders.
Oh my gosh.
Gucci's,
Christine, Esther, Wilgers.
Yeah. Good group of people there. We were thankful for them.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so this is why I want to talk about your ministry. I want to talk about Bridges, and that's what brought you to LA, right? So maybe give us a little bit of background of like how what brought you to LA, how you got connected, and where were you from originally?
So we're from Kansas, both from Kansas originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which side?
East-ish.
Yeah, South Central
Southeast for me.
Okay.
Yeah, Spencer's kind of in the middle in Wichita.
I'm from Wichita, and Sarah's from the southeast corner, kind of near Pittsburgh or Joplin.
Okay.
So very opposite of LA.
Yeah.
My town had about 2,000 people in it. So
yeah,
a lot different, but we love LA. We feel like we're from both now. We've been here 6 years.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's Bridges that brought you out here. Were you serving with Bridges before then?
So we were serving with a different ministry called the Traveling Team before. And
actually, let's give a little bit of this background, because I think the Traveling Team is fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I think that like this is not a form of ministry that most people are like familiar with,
right?
And so let's lead it in. Tell me a little bit of the story of what you were doing before you came to LA.
So for the 4 years between us graduating college and joining Bridges, moving out to LA, because that was all us joining Bridges and moving out to LA was all together. We spent 4 years with the ministry called the Traveling Team, which is a team that travels.
Original.
Yeah. Very straightforward name. They are
naming things here at Cornerstone.
That's right. I think people appreciate that. It's like you don't have to decode it. It's just what it is what you name it. It's a collegiate mobilization organization. So basically what we would do is we would pack up our lives into a suitcase, and there'd be a team of 4 of us. Me and Sarah were always on the same team. We got married halfway through.
Were you dating when this started, or did you meet on the Traveling Team?
This is a whole nother story.
Okay. Maybe take it.
This is like deep dive in our story.
Yes.
So we were on staff with the Traveling Team for 4 years. And the short of it is the first year we were friends. The second year we were dating and engaged, like the fall and then the spring. And then we were married for 2 years. So I feel like we got the full experience of being on staff with the Traveling Team and all these different, marital statuses, single, dating, engaged, married. And so for the entire semester, so like three months at a time, we were on the road traveling from campus to campus, kind of like a pinball machine in a minivan.
Hmm.
It was very, very cool. That's exactly what I had envisioned for myself after I graduated college. Travel around in this fancy silver Dodge Caravan, and we would partner with the on-ground campus ministries. So like NAVS, Crew, InterVarsity, RUF, like a local church ministry. Oftentimes there was like a Southern Baptist ministry, and we would do three things. We would be guest speakers at their weekly meeting, and so I think we've hit, I don't know, over 100 different campuses in those 4 years.
I think I calculated like 250 or
250
Wow.
campuses
Wow.
across the U.S. We've spoken to thousands of students, just not all at once. They're in groups of like, 20, 50, 100 kind of thing. And the first thing we would do is give a talk called The Biblical Basis of Missions, which in 30 minutes, we would start in Genesis and go Genesis to Revelation, recounting God's heart for the world and just showing verse after verse after verse. God's heart has been the same since Genesis, that his mission has been the same, to see a world filled with worshipers who know and love him. And that starts in Genesis 1, Genesis 12, throughout the Old Testament, Jesus, the New Testament, even in Revelation, this vision of heaven. And that was part one, cast a big vision. Part two, we would share an illustration, just thinking about next steps and helping people be able to share it with others. And then we would actually do a lot of follow-up phone calls, counseling people one-on-one over the phone, helping them take next steps. And so maybe that was welcoming international students on their campus, or starting a world prayer group among their Christian friends, or doing a short-term mission trip over the summer, or a winter conference or something like that. And so I think over those 4 years, we probably spoke to maybe like 80,000 students or something, or
Really?
yeah, I think so.
Wow.
But anyway, I'm
That's
rambling now.
incredible. Okay, so
Maybe you clip that. I don't know. I
No,
was like
no,
trying
no,
to
no.
think of a button at the end of our travel. But
it's so fascinating. And I mean, if you're listening, you're one of our college students, like I bet you guys could still do that today.
You know, it's
share with
yeah,
They
some
may
of our
have
college students about God's heart for the world.
They may have even heard it at if they're involved in a campus ministry. I know the traveling team was just here at UCLA.
Oh, they were.
It's actually
Oh.
really interesting. The time that we're recording this, the traveling team is in town right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I want to know who it was, like in the administration of the traveling team, that like paired the two of you together on a on a team, and like gets all the credit for.
His name is Claude Hickman. Lives out in Riverside. You can. Well, maybe we should send him a thank you note for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then you left the traveling team, joined Bridges, and came to LA. Maybe, Sarah, I'd love to hear, for those who are not familiar, like we've been talking about it a little bit already, but what is Bridges? Like what did you join? What kind of ministry is this?
Yeah, so Bridges is a international student ministry, and it's a little bit different than a typical campus ministry where it's mainly the population is Christians. In Bridges, it's more of a safe space for people who are not Christians to come and learn about Jesus. International students who maybe have never picked up a Bible before, never heard about Jesus, to come and explore, and then also find a place to have community on campus, to get to hang out with Americans and do fun things around LA. So yeah, we're part of technically part of Crew, but we're just for international students here in the LA Metro on a couple of different campuses. What would you add to that, Spencer?
So what drew you guys to international student ministry?
Yeah, there was several things in our story. Our freshman and sophomore year of college, the big one was for the first time seeing God's heart for the world, that biblical basis of missions. We had a friend basically open up the Bible and show us that. And I think that just like completely changed our understanding of our Christianity. I think another thing that was really instrumental that I think is even really cool for people if they wanted to do this. Even now today is a group of the Christian students at my university. I was a part of this. They started a world prayer group. So we were learning God has a heart for the world, but we didn't really know much about the world. I mean, growing up in Kansas, I had never been. Honestly, I had never even really been outside the U.S. very much. And so what we did is once a week we would come together and we would rotate who would lead it. But that person would choose a country, tell us some basic facts, and then lead us in about an hour long worth of prayer specifically for that country. And so there's a couple resources we used, Operation World book and Joshua Project, or a couple websites, resources that we used, as well as just like current events, just to be able to learn about the country and be able to pray specifically for them and their needs, and especially their spiritual needs.
And with that, I would say for me, there were like 3 different things that God really used to grow my heart for international student ministry specifically as we were learning about God's heart for the world individually. We didn't know each other at this point in college, but for me, like specific students were kind of instrumental. I knew about international student ministry and even like understood why it was important, but it was specific students that I got to know. A woman from China that my parents were kind of like an adoptive family to in their like in the college town next to where they live, was really impactful for me to get to know her individually and process spiritual conversations with her as she explored who Jesus was. And then also, as we traveled, it was interesting. We spoke a lot to Christian students, but especially our last year with the traveling team, God really made it apparent the need for somebody to be involved in international student ministry. We just heard all these crazy stories about what God was doing. And I'll share one of them that I still remember. We were up in Wisconsin at a tiny Lutheran college, I think. And most of the audience was American, white, and then there was one Chinese student who was a believer who was there. And we carried a book with us, the Operation World. I think you mentioned that a second ago. And it outlines prayer requests for every country in the world. And we looked at China. She this Chinese student grabbed it and looked at China. And she was from a very small people group in China. And the Operation World highlighted her specific people group and said, pray for this people group. It's 0.0% Christian. And there she was in the middle of Wisconsin from this people group. We were like, wow, you might be the first Christian from your people group. That was so crazy to see like how God used, bringing somebody from that small people group to Wisconsin, the middle of Wisconsin, to learn about him and what he could do even to reach that people group through her. And then we were at another university in Michigan, I think. Yeah. And we were speaking to a group, and there was this guy there from Papua New Guinea. And afterwards, it was the same thing. There were other stories that didn't involve Op World, but it was impactful. Yeah. There's this guy from Papua who went and grabbed the Op World at the end of the meeting and found Papua New Guinea. And he came up to Spencer in tears. He was crying. And he said, look, here's my country. Here's the prayer request. The first prayer request says, pray for pilots to go and take the gospel, to carry missionaries and take the gospel to remote people groups in Papua. And this guy was from a small tribe in Papua. His father was the first Christian in their tribe. He was the chief. And when he became a Christian, the whole tribe became Christian. And his son, this guy was in Michigan specifically studying to become a pilot so that he could take the gospel to other people groups. And that was that was amazing to see how God even just affirmed, I think, his calling through that he was needed to take the gospel to other people groups, just like it was brought to his tribe. So there were like all these crazy stories that happened as we traveled. And we're like, wow, this is amazing what God is doing, and we want to be involved in it firsthand. We want to, instead of just like challenging people to be involved, we want to be a part of this too.
I love that. There's such a powerful experience getting to see like firsthand the answered prayers and even like other people's answered prayers. Yeah. Right. I think about that. I mean, this is like the power of publishing, even the power of what you were doing in sharing with us. You never know how God's going to use that. But I think of how many people sat down with an Operation World Book and flipped it open to China and prayed for that people group, or had a World Prayer Nights and have been praying for pilots in Papua New Guinea. And number one, what a privilege to get to pray and be a part of the story of God answering those prayers of these people. And secondly, what an incredible privilege to get a glimpse of those prayers getting answered in these individuals. That's really proud. And I also love the fact that a part of what led you to Bridges was you were spending all this time teaching God's word, and you couldn't help but like hear it yourself. Like it couldn't help but shape your hearts for. So why international students? Right. I mean, there's lots of avenues to the nations. There's lots of avenues to even unreached peoples. Why for the two of you? I mean, okay. The answer is like, because that's where God called you to. So, but like, how did that? What is it about students that is really compelling to you?
Yeah, because you're right. Even at the end there, you said it, like the calling does feel personal for us. It feels like even what Sarah was saying. God kind of worked it in our story in particular ways. But I was even just I was talking with Kyle Drakowski yesterday. We were kind of talking through some of this, and international student ministry. I think the other reason for me that it's so compelling is that it's just very strategic. I mean, we see throughout the Bible, Matthew 28:19, God has a heart for the world. He wants to see all nations know him. But the reality is that there are billions of people who have little to no access. And we need to be sending more missionaries overseas to some of these hard to reach, unreached places. But we are living in unique times today where the nations are coming to us. So we were just even remarking, like some of the obstacles, all the challenges it would take financially, linguistically, culturally, getting a visa, moving your family, everything that it would take for a missionary to go overseas, much less be effective in that language. Those turn into opportunities for us here with these international students who are coming to our country. So the U.S. has had over 1 million international students coming to the United States for several years now. Even during COVID, it maybe dipped like just below 1 million, but not much below that, and it's surged back now. We're back to having records every single year, like the U.S. has had for 50 years. It's only gone up and up and up, except for that little COVID blip. And these are some of the there's some of the highest potential people on the planet. Like they have tested into, especially in LA. California hosts the most international students of any state in the US, and LA is a big part of that. There's thousands and thousands at campuses like UCLA, USC, some of the Cal State schools in our county. And in order to go to a UCLA and a USC, you have to score pretty highly. These are very smart students. They test very well. And not only have they been accepted to the university, but then they have the backing, the support, the financial support, the family, the government oftentimes is sponsoring these students to be able to come here, get a degree in order to be able to go back and be leaders in their government, in business, in education. And so it's some of the highest potential people who come from the most unreached places. 7 out of 10 international students come from that 1040 window, where the majority of the unreached
What's
people
the 1040 window?
The 1040 window it's a geographical term. It stretches from 10 degrees north latitude to 40 degrees north latitude. And basically, if you envision a map in your mind, it's North Africa, the Middle East, Iran, India, China, Southeast Asia. And in that portion of the world from 10 degrees to 40 degrees north latitudes, that's where it's like 97% of the people who are unreached live in that box. So when we think about like, where do we need to send our missionaries? There's lots of places that are already reached because we've sent missionaries there. Churches have been established there. They can do the work of evangelism. But when we think about the frontier of missions, it's that 1040 window. And God has providentially made it so that the majority of the international students who are in our backyard, in our cities, on our campuses, rubbing shoulders with Christians, probably for the first time, they're from places like China, India, Muslim background countries in the Middle East and Southeast Asia, Japan, even Iran. Like we have Iranian, Persian students involved with our ministry right now. And it's really cool to be a part of. So it's strategic.
Okay, so we've talked about unreached peoples. You've also mentioned the phrase unreached people groups. Why is that? Like, why is that a category we think in, and how does that shape your ministries?
This has turned into a missiology class right now.
That's okay. We can smuggle it in a way.
I'll nerd out. No, it's helpful even in thinking about access to the gospel. So an unreached people group is less than 2% Christian. That's how we define a people group is like a group of people that share the same language, culture. Basically, the gospel can pass through the group without hitting any big barriers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like language is a big barrier to communicating the gospel. Huge cultural differences is a big barrier. Maybe geography. Yeah, maybe like a mountain range could be a huge barrier, right, to that. But so you're defining a people group as a group of people who share geography, language, culture, that the gospel can flow more unimpeded through.
Yeah. And so if we think about the people who, statistically are way less likely to meet a Christian, to have a church they could go to nearby, to know someone who could explain the gospel, even disciple them as they grow in their faith. Obviously, the people groups who have less than 2% Christian, those people have little to no chance of hearing the gospel. So that's why I think it's so compelling to think about, and amazing to think about how God has eliminated that barrier by bringing students here, or refugees, immigrants from those places to a place where they can hear the gospel for the first time.
Yeah, you think about this is one of the reasons why the international student ministry that you guys are doing is so one of the reasons is so powerful, so compelling to me as well, because the barriers for us to go to the places where there are unreached people groups are significant. They're not insurmountable. Yeah. Right. We have partners like the Gustafsons, like the Humbles, who are serving in among unreached peoples, and part of that is also unique to their stories. One of those couples grew up in that country, and there's a lot of barriers to cross and for a lot of international students, it cuts through so many of those barriers because they're coming here, and not only are they coming here, but they're also going to go back to a place where they don't have those same barriers.
Right.
It's fascinating.
They'd probably be better equipped to reach their own people than.
Yeah.
Like you just think about the years that it would take for,
language acquisition, cultural assimilation, community acceptance. Yeah.
Network, your social network community.
Yeah. And again, not that shouldn't be done. Like we need that too, right? We significantly need people to go as well. But what a sweet and powerful opportunity to minister to those that are here.
I think we 100% need both. Yeah. And it, like I was saying, the cost is high, and the training and the amount of the passion that would take. God has a passion for these nations, and so we should do it too, even though it might cost us or we might suffer to see it happen.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk specifically about ministry among international students, the work you guys are doing. What are some of the best parts, and what are some of the unique challenges of ministering to international students here in LA?
Yeah. Why don't we start with the bad news, or the hard parts, and then we can have the upswing of it. Yeah. I do love international student ministry. There's a couple. The one reason I maybe I can get jealous of other types of ministries is just that oftentimes international student ministry is slow, because the students just have farther to go spiritually, and the cost of following Jesus is often higher than your average American or than your typical non-believer from, a different part of the world. And so there's just a longevity, just a longer time frame that we have to work with. And so that makes us have to be really patient, teaches us patience, and it teaches us endurance in that way. But the very hardest thing about ministry, oftentimes it's like we send out, regular prayer updates via email and videos and stuff. And it's fun to share about the highlights and the really fun things, talk about the story of the student that was involved with their ministry for a long time and now they come to Christ. But probably for every one of those, there's 8, 7 to 10 students that we have journeyed with for a long time. They know us. They love Bridges. They've been around us long enough that they could tell you the gospel. Like they know the facts of the gospel. And they're close friends of ours. We've done life together. We've prayed together, even though they're not Christians. We've cried together. We've journeyed together. And so many of our students, they get to a point where it's like there's no more questions for them to ask. Their understanding is clear. They're right at the doorstep of entering into the house of God, entering faith, following Jesus. And they say no, they turn away. And I was literally just Monday night, I was kind of a late night talking with a guy who loves he loves the idea of Jesus. He likes stories about him. He would say he follows him in a way, but really the biggest issue for him is the exclusivity of Jesus. Because he literally told me, he's like, Spencer, do you want me to be separated from my mother forever? And for a lot of these students, they see the gospel as good, but not as ultimate or beautiful enough. And so it's just really hard because you want them to be in the kingdom. You want them to be a brother and sister in Christ. And they say no.
Yeah. So on the other side of that, that is really hard. But what happens when God does work is, I think, the most exciting part of our jobs. It's not because of us, we, in those journeys, we make lots of mistakes, but God still uses us. God still uses other people in the process, and people come to Christ and people grow in their faith. And that's the most exciting thing I can think of, to getting to be a part of that, getting to watch that happen. This last summer, I was a part of a student training week where we invited, there were 25 international student believers from around the country that are a part of Bridges. They represented pretty much every major, religion background in the world, every part of the world. Some are from different parts of Asia, Africa, Middle East, and they came together in San Francisco for a few days for training. And it was one of the most powerful experiences of my life, watching them, just their love for Jesus coming in, but their heart to grow and their heart to encourage each other and for their own people. There was one night where we had a special night where they had the opportunity to train the other students in their religious background and their cultural background, so that they could go reach people from their people. So we had students from India explaining Hinduism and sharing their testimonies and sharing encouragement. And okay, this is how you should engage with a Hindu in the gospel. Or students from Africa talking about partnering with African churches and encouraging people who are from Muslim background in Africa. And it was just amazing to get to see that happen. And it had nothing, I mean, I am not equipped in the same way they were, but I feel like that's a powerful picture of what can happen when God does work through our students and they gain a heart for the world. Man, they can be used in incredible ways.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I don't know how we're doing on time.
No, go ahead.
You should also talk about H&M.
We're using abbreviations because we can't say their names for security. But
just even as a foil to just thinking about how international student ministry can be slow, just the longevity there.
Yeah. So we had some friends we'll call H and M. I met them at our winter conference a couple of years ago. They were both studying at a school in Louisiana. And at that conference, right before the conference, they both had become Christians and they were engaged. And right after they became Christians, H got accepted to UCLA. And so they moved together to LA here as brand new believers. And that's the beauty of our ministry. I know their staff well, so their staff, Stacy, connected me with them, and we could welcome them here in LA once they came. And they are from Iran, and so I think in God's providence, even bringing them here specifically
to Persian Square, to Rangeles,
and Cornerstone, even
Cornerstone Farsi,
but they were new believers, but they were here for a couple of years. We walked with them. They got married not too long after they got here. They just really processed a lot of the hard things about becoming believers, new believers. They had a lot of fear about telling their families, about telling other Persians that they were believers. But they were so they moved away for another job, but they were just here a couple weeks ago, and Spencer and I had dinner with them. And it was just amazing to see how they've grown and matured. They both have told their families in Iran that they're Christians. They're involved in a church now, which was difficult, to trust the people around them. But yeah, again, they're a picture we were just here. We were just here in LA, and we were just friends with them, and that's it. Like God just worked through that time and worked through where they're at, and He continues to help them grow and help them understand Him more. And I believe that they are going to be they're going to impact lots of people from Iran, wherever they're at, whether they stay in the U.S. long term or maybe they go back to their home country.
Wow, it is. I mean, it is. The term just privilege just keeps coming to my mind. Like, what a unique privilege, and to get to unique experience to when you're working with international students to get to see that from all sorts of different corners of the world, all in the same place. So, I mean, maybe this is related to. I want to go back to at the when we started and we were just kind of getting to know the two of you. One of the things that you mentioned, Sarah, was that. LA's like home now. You're kind of like from both places. That seems like its own stretch from Kansas. I mean, I think a number of people would view Kansas, like coming to Los Angeles as, as radical as going to a different country on missions. So what is it? How is it that that LA and the calling that you guys have here has become such a part of your hearts and such a place that you could call home? Because I think that's a unique experience for people here in LA too. Sometimes the being able to experience here as a place that you're called to, and because of that calling, a place that becomes our not eternal, obviously, but an earthly home.
Do you want me to
go for it?
Respond to it? I want to make sure I'm not talking too much here. When we it's interesting because technically you're right. We didn't move from one country to another, but the culture from Kansas to LA is as significant, I would say, arguably, as moving to a different country in a lot of examples.
I mean, in a town with 2,000 people, like there's probably lots of other countries that you can move to where the country culture is really different, but the rural dynamic is actually very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because LA was not initially a personal love. It felt like God loves LA. We love God. We feel like he's made it clear that we need to move to LA. Therefore, we choose to love LA.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like God like made that really clear initially. And then even over the last few years, I mean, we've just that like choosing has grown into a natural love that just kind of overflows. And now we're like protective of LA. We're like loyal to LA. Like when our friends from the Midwest, they come with all sorts of like preconceived notions of LA or California, what they read in the news. And it's like they come out here and it's like, it is our unspoken goal that they would leave and say, wow, LA and California is way better than what I thought it might be. And so there's like a protective loyalty there. And maybe the other thing
I always
is,
tell people, I'm like, they're like just talking and talking. I'm like, I'm living in your dystopia, right?
yeah.
Like, and I mean, and we've got issues, but like
all those Californians,
it's all right.
I'm like, that's me, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, you're those people.
Yeah,
those people. I'm one of those.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that has helped us just be able to stay in LA and love LA is there's been several moments over the years where we reevaluate. Man, living in LA has some very hard things about it. For our situation, our family's far away. It's really expensive. Everybody feels that. And it's like, are we still called to LA? And there's been like 2 or 3 moments of that. One was where then God like provided for us a way to continue to be sustainable financially, socially, all the ways for us to be sustainable in LA. That just made it really clear that he is saying, yes, your calling here is continued. And just to like really specifically, one of them was our housing. We were able to get a mortgage on a house that, anyway, there's a longer story there, but that was really affirming for us. Another one even more recently is, now Nora's in the picture. It's not just like, is this uncomfortable for me or for me and Sarah, but it's like, we want to be responsible with Nora. And we were trying to navigate the jungle of school districts and private and public and charter, and everything was really overwhelming for us. And kind of like right at the very end of our search, we found a great school for Nora, and it just put to rest any of those anxieties that were jumping into my mind of like, should we still stay here? Is it wise for us to stay here? And God's like, yeah, it's hard, but look, I'm providing what you need. Give us this day our daily bread. It's like, this is what you need. It's not like fancy cake, but it's bread. And and so we just really enjoyed being able to continue to be here.
Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of that, and also add to Cornerstone is a big reason why we're still here. I honestly don't think we would be in LA still. We would have been long gone, because of this community, because of the support we have, the encouragement in our own walks with God. Ministry is important, but even more so, we need to be still connected to the vine. We still need to be walking with the Lord, and to have encouragement, discipleship, strong teaching. It's Cornerstone for us. So we're really thankful for that.
100%. Yep.
I'm so blessed by that, and also really blessed to have you guys here. I think over the years too, like not only has he settled you in the community here, but like your presence here has sharpened and been a blessing to our church community. I think there's a lot of ways that both of your hearts have pointed to and helped clarify and encourage people towards hearts for the nations and international students in some real and tangible ways. And maybe we can kind of wrap up here. I'm curious how now, having been not just like new to Cornerstone or like, oh yeah, that's the church I go to, but you're a part of, like, we are family right here. And so I'm curious, as you think about your church and the place the Lord's called you to, how you hope we as a church and as a family will continue to grow and develop in our hearts for the world. What are your dreams or desires for our church.
Is there space? Do you think there's space? Should I share the suitcase story at this point, or just answer the question? Maybe answer.
Sure. No, well, now you got to show the suitcase story.
No. Well, I mean, Adam on the back end can figure out whatever he needs to. Maybe I'm too relaxed with this now. I think when I think about our church, even just in this conversation, has focused something that I think has been on my mind a little bit, and it's just the idea of prayer. I get excited about the idea of our people coming before the Lord, and instead of just jumping into action, I'll get to that maybe in a second, but the primary work of all believers, the most powerful thing that we can do is prayer.
Mm.
I mean, the most important thing, it's there's nothing more important that you can do. There's things you can do after you pray that are important, but there's nothing more important to do than to pray until you've prayed. That was very wordy, but yeah, and I mean that's one of the reasons. 3 times a year, Bridges holds a prayer gathering. And part of it is to like share stories and it's encouragement, but it's mostly just to begin every semester. And we have like a celebration one around this time of year, just to pray on behalf of our students and our ministry. And I think the primary work that God wants to do through Cornerstone is in our hearts and our minds and in our prayer life.
Mm-hmm. And from that too, I think as we ask the Lord of the harvest, sometimes he sends out other people to the harvest field. Sometimes he sends us in specific ways too. So as we pray, even just being aware of what God might be putting in front of us. Maybe it's welcoming an international student into your home for a meal. Maybe it's using your profession somehow in ministry, maybe like on a short-term trip or even going long-term. Maybe it's even just continuing to pray, continuing to ask God to do a work in our city and encouraging others in that too. But I think sometimes, as we start in prayer, God makes it clear. He knows, or he can show us what our next step is. But it comes from that seeking him.
Yeah. So maybe I'll put like a warning label on prayer, because my prayer is that our people would pray that God would, Matthew 9 would pray the Lord of the harvest that he would send out more laborers. And just a little bit of a warning, I'm really hoping and I'm praying that as we all pray as a church, that he would tap a few of us on the shoulders, that we as a church would be, over the next few years, that we would see people who are a part of our church family who say yes, and I want to be a long-term missionary overseas somewhere, and we can send them. I would be thrilled to be able to see that happen.
That's exciting. I love that vision. I mean, that's my prayer too. And it's exciting to see the Lord even starting to, not even starting to, but continuing to, and to build that momentum and calling where we see ourselves as a sending place, both to places around the city and to places around the world in all sorts of different ways.
And we have some great global partners, some great key global partners that
absolutely provide a lot of great opportunities. Okay, so maybe let's just close there. What are a couple of ways we as a church family can be praying for you and for the ministry of Bridges, and what are a couple of ways if people want to get practically involved that they could do that too?
Yeah. I should have had an answer to this. This question always throws me whenever anybody asks me. I don't know why. But I would say for Bridges here in the city, the first thing that comes to mind is more laborers. There are so many students, there are so many needs. But there's a small team. Actually, I'm not. I work in HR for Bridges. As I stay home with Nora too. Spencer's a little more on campus, but there's just a small team there at USC and UCLA. So pray that God would send people here as long-term staff who could partner with us, even if they're not with Bridges, and in other international student ministry on campus. And Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, even with that, there's on a much smaller level, there's great volunteer opportunities that Bridges locally has for you, the Cornerstone members, to join with us in welcoming these international students, whether it's sitting down at a table during a discussion, or providing food, or being drivers, or hosting some of these students in your home, say for Thanksgiving. We do have some opportunities throughout the year. Probably the next a couple big ones as I look over the rest of this year. 3 come to mind. We're having a April prayer gathering on the 26th. You can reach out to me if you want to be a part of that. That's going to be on campus here at the church. The second thing is the beginning of the semester is high time. It's like blitz mode. And so you can come. It's very exciting. All the students are out on campus and they want to connect with new clubs. And so come with us at the beginning of the year. It's very exciting to be able to meet new students. And we use a big world map where they can choose, where they can represent where they're from. And there's a lot of opportunities to share the gospel, especially in the first month of campus. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is over the holidays, especially around Thanksgiving, we oftentimes do a student host family pairing program.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for the time. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for all the work that you're doing and for the ways that you're allowing God to use you for his glory across the world, and particularly here in LA. It is, your friendship means a lot to me, even just personally. It's, I'm so glad that you're here. So thanks for being a part of this. And thank you all for listening. Thanks for being a part of this journey with us. And we encourage you to please be praying for Bridges, pray for the international students in our midst, pray for people from other countries and other cultures in our midst, and pray for your own heart that the Lord would grow in all of us a passion for his glory among every tribe, tongue, and nation. So thanks for listening. We love you. We'll see you on Sunday.